What's up? What's up? What's up, guys and gals? Hopping on here. I'm going to do something a little interestingly different. I thought it'd be cool. I spend a lot of time going through comments on a lot of the interviews I did, at least the last 4 or 5 interviews that I've done. I take time to actually go through those comment sections and talk to people and reply to them, whether they're supportive of what I'm doing or if they're not. I think it's important for one, obviously the algorithm part, but I just like engaging with people and I like making time and I like building relationships and I like just showing people that I'm showing up. I'm not just popping in and popping out when I want. Just when it suits me, when I'm comfortable, or if it just serves like my agenda or anything. What is up for all seasons? But yeah, I thought I'd do something special here. Of course, the people on Instagram, you guys can't see what I'm looking at, but if you'd like to, go to my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio. If you want to follow along and see what I'm doing, basically what I'm going to be doing is going through the comment sections in the Inside True Crime podcast that I did with Matt Cox. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that because I'm just going to respond authentically to these, and it's because I have all these thoughts every time I respond to these people. These thoughts come to me, and I thought it'd be cool to just let it pour right through me and talk about it in real time. Plus, a lot of the same comments keep coming up, and so quite frankly, I'm tired of repeating myself. So there's a couple reasons, but that is what's going on. So let's just get into this. For those of you who have not seen the podcast that I did with Matt Cox, Inside True Crime, take a peek at it. It was a really good conversation. Whether or not you agree with what I'm talking about, or completely disagree with a lot of that stuff. I need to get the chat section up here, right quick. Where is the chat section? Bear with me on this, guys. That is weird. Why is it not showing? Man, there's always technical difficulties. Always technical difficulties. Let's see here. So we got the video prism capture device. Let me see. Maybe what I'll do is block that off. Maybe I'll just start a new one. Bear with me, guys, because I want to be able to talk to you guys. That didn't work either. So weird. I bet you if I move that, you'll be able to see it. No? That didn't work either. Very interesting why that is not why that's not working. Everything was working just fine. This is part of the process, right? Let me just see something right quick. There we go. So yeah, I could not tell you why this is not working. Everything was working just fine. Let me just take another second here. Oh, so there they are there. Oh, okay, so I can't. Let me see something. So now I see whoever just replied a comment in the YouTube section. I appreciate you doing that because now it shows where it is, and I was trying to figure out. What's up, Matt? That's hilarious, dude. Yeah, GC hired a hacker. That's fucking funny. You're probably right too. Oh man. No, I think what it is I'm just having a hard time. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna wing this. I'm gonna condense this screen so that I can see the chat and see your guys' comments. Although it's so small, this is gonna be interesting. How I'm going to be able to do all three of these at once, I have no idea. Oh, that's so fun. So what I'll do is, I wonder if there's a way to overlay this. Add. Filters, properties, set color, filter. And that doesn't make sense, man. I grouped it. All right. Just give me one last second because what I'm trying to do is source projector window, full screen window, sort. Okay. Huh. Not quite sure. What I'm gonna try to do, all right, I'm gonna wing this here, is what I'm gonna do. I love improv. This is what improv is all about. So I'm going to just kind of scooch. How's it going, Darlene? I see your chat in there. Having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm going to figure it out. So this is what I'll do. I'm just going to do it like that for now. That way I can see. That way I can see your guys' chats as I'm going through these comments. So, like I was saying, if you guys haven't seen this podcast, you're cracking me up, Matt. He's like, this motherfucker out here spilling the beans. Exactly. Yeah, Grant's, I mean, it's funny because I'm small fish, but he definitely knows who I am, and I talked about that on one of the podcasts because he's got people from his organization reaching out to people and saying, hey, we noticed your, liking Ben's stuff and commenting on his stuff, like you in alignment with all that stuff. So quite funny how he did that. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to just increase this because I can barely read what you're writing, Darlene, and I want to see it all. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know I could do that. Boy, next time I'm gonna kind of troubleshoot a little bit more. I thought I had it all figured out. All right, so if for those of you who have not seen that particular podcast, check it out. By the way, since I'm still trying to work out like my microphone and the lighting and all this other stuff, give me some feedback. Let me know if something's not working, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to hear more of. As I kind of smooth out rough edges, this is obviously not the setup I'm going to be doing long term, but it's a good start. Working on the lighting, working on the camera setup, and then obviously my mic was a big issue last time, so I'm really curious to know if the mic sounds like garbage or if you guys can actually hear me pretty decently this time. And when I say that, I'm referring to YouTube or Facebook because I'm also live streaming on Instagram as well. So anyways, what I'm going to do is, I thought this would be pretty cool, is just go through these comments here because like I said, a lot of thoughts come to my mind when I'm replying to these, and I always like to make time for people who are commenting. And so that's what I'm doing. And we're just going to go through these, and I just want to reply to, or not reply, I've already replied to all these, but I want to respond to this, just go through these. So this was a podcast just to give you guys context where I was talking about Grant Cardone and pretty much how I put together that it's a cult, all the stuff that they're teaching out there. They're pretty much turning people into Scientologists without even telling them, and so much more I talked about. So, and my experience obviously with him, the money I spent, the way I treated people, the way I was treated, and all that good stuff. So anyways, Blue-Eyed Mule said, if they call you a suppressive person, that is Scientology. Yeah, 100%, and that's what I realized. This is interesting. People talking about their experiences in this too. This guy was saying his wife was forced by an insurance company she worked for to go through mandatory Grant Cardone training for an hour every single day. This went on for almost a year. Cardone is one of those entrepreneur bros who knows everything about everything, and according to him, his way is the only way. She pegged him for a scam artist immediately. Cardone and those like him have an easy way out of any liability if their advice doesn't work for someone. They just tell them they weren't committed enough or didn't work the system correctly, and of course, it's never Cardone's fault. So I talked about this quite a bit, where a lot of self-serving entrepreneurs will approach this way as well, and they'll pretty much blame you for something not working. They'll sell you a dream, make you a bunch of false promises, and then the second it doesn't work, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, it's because you didn't apply it," or "Yeah, you didn't actually commit yourself," or "Something you didn't work because of you." And it's funny how they're so committed to their and so confident in their own stuff and their teachings and swear up and down and make you all these promises, but the second it doesn't work out and actually come to life, as they say, they're like, well, it's actually your fault, not mine. And to me, there's so much to talk about this. First of all, that's a sign of a false leader. That a good true leader will never say, and I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying that people, there is no sometimes that is a case where yes, a person didn't apply themselves or didn't actually do it, but it's not up to the person in the leadership position to say that. And that's the sign of a good leader, in my opinion, the one that says, okay, where did I go wrong? What could I have done? Let's dissect this. Let's figure out what I could have done to help. Let's figure out if you could have done something differently, but never say it's your fault. It's because you did this, you did that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. That's not the sign of a good leader. So I want to make that point. And exactly, it's an easy way for guys like that, misguided mentors, self-serving entrepreneurs. It's a very easy way for them to never have to take accountability when, ironically enough, they promote accountability quite a bit. So yeah, it's all bullshit, guys, and it's kind of just goes back to what I said about people. They want you to do as they say, not as they do. So let's just keep going through this. Yeah, Cardone's a Scientologist. That explains a lot about Grant. Yeah, 100%. The fact that you see me as a father figure shows you have a whole nother list of problems is stellar. Not quite sure what he meant by that. But to the point, he might have been talking about the comment or the part in that podcast where I was talking about how I kind of looked up to Grant as like a father figure, right? Like, my dad disappeared when I was 3. I didn't have that father figure in my life. My stepdad, I had 2 stepdads. They did the best they can, right? But we just headbutted. We could not. It was always a lot of this, and it was just really hard. Like many, I imagine, step parent situations, it's tough sometimes. But if that's what he's referring to, that happens to everybody. And so, not everybody, but there's a lot of men out there and women also who, maybe the dad wasn't around. It's not uncommon for someone to look up to someone as a father figure. That doesn't mean anything, doesn't mean there's a problem there. It just means there's just a lack of that guidance in their life. Is that a problem? It can be a problem, yeah. But it doesn't mean, you should lack compassion for somebody or say there's a whole nother list of problems, or that there's something wrong about that particular thing. So it happens to the best of them is all I'll say. And I'll say that quite a bit, actually. I've noticed I've really repeated myself when I've said that, because there are the select handful of people who make their comments and really lack compassion and act like they're just on a whole nother level. And you're like, how stupid can you be to get roped into this? How you deserve everything you're getting. And those are just not very cool comments. I mean, this is someone who's lacking compassion and really doesn't understand the levels are to this, the varying factors that goes into this. So it's just a very unintelligent comment. How's it going, Andres? All right, so let's just keep going. This is great. All right, I'm gonna plug through this. Love Sponge. I can tell you this one's going to be great. Matt's inspiring to see how far you've come. This is going to be definitely one of the best interviews. Got a lot of positive feedback on it too. Considering that Matt's been, really doing a great job and having a long list of really cool guests and topics to talk about. Like I've checked out a couple of them and they're really good. So it's a compliment to hear that this was a great one of the best interviews that he's done. Let's see. Thank you both for all that input and info. Really wonderful to share it with all of us. You bet, man. My pleasure. This guy's just excited. Made it for the premiere. Loving the intro. Let's fucking go. Matt thrives in the face of adversity. It's truly inspiring. Yeah, 100%. That dude's got a crazy story too. All right, he says, if they're selling courses telling you how to get as successful as they are, it's a scam. What the fuck would they take? Why would they take time from their successful business to teach you? Get out of here. So that's a good point. Like, there's a lot of people who are claiming they're super massively successful, but they're aggressively pitching courses, coaching courses, right? And it's like, I mean, wouldn't you, if you're so successful, just be enjoying your life a little bit? And again, I've heard, it reminds me of sayings that Grant used to say all the time. Is just like, yeah, I'm always going to be doing this. I'm always going to be leveling up. I'm never going to rest. I'm always going to do that. And it's never going to be enough. I'm never going to be satisfied. If you're satisfied, then what is he used to have a saying about being satisfied. If you're satisfied, that means you're not doing enough. And it's like all these stupid sayings. Kind of get in your head, and it's just part of that brainwashing thing. So yeah, this guy's got a point. Like, if they're selling courses teaching you how they are successful, and they're teaching, or if they're saying they are successful, they're teaching you how to get successful. Why would they take time to do that? And that's a very simple point. So this lady kind of did more of a personal comment, which I loved. She said, "This one resonated with me on so many levels. I've been stuck. I've had Stockholm syndrome and had my husband leave me for another woman. Guess who got me through much of that? Good old Wes." And she's talking about Wes Watson. "If I had found out he was a fraud when I was going through a divorce and nearly homeless, it would have emotionally all but destroyed me. But the thing that gets me is he didn't even need to lie. People still would have followed his content and paid for his coaching. This interview was a good reminder to step back and reflect on who you follow and how much money you are spending on their materials. Thanks, Matt and Benjamin." So yeah, it's kind of funny that she brought up the like a relationship and a toxic relationship as an example, because 100% it is very relative to a toxic relationship, and like Stockholm syndrome. If you guys didn't catch that part of the podcast or heard me talk about this yet, a lot of self-serving entrepreneurs and misguided mentors will really structure their pitches and their environment, whether it's a networking event or a mastermind environment. They'll structure it in a way that will start developing, have you start developing Stockholm syndrome, meaning they're going to put you down. They're going to call you, your bank account's low. They're going to make fun of your bank account. They're going to make fun of the fact that you're in the back of the room. They're going to call you fat. They're going to they're going to say you're operating at low levels. You're not doing enough. You're satisfied. You're this, you're that. They're making fun of you. And then they're going to turn around and say, I'm telling you this because I care about you. Now, when you start developing that mindset where you're like, oh, maybe he does care about me, and you start thinking that is Stockholm syndrome, because now you believe him, and now you're willing to defend him, which is why you get people up in the comments defending guys like Grant and all these other people I've been calling out, is because they believe it so much. They believe that they actually do care about him, and it's really just Stockholm syndrome, guys. Like, wake up. There's a way to be direct and uplift people without being mean and hurtful and deceptive and manipulative and condescending and the whole bullying tactic. We'll get into that in a second. I feel like I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but we'll talk about what I call middle school mentality, a middle school way of selling, which a lot of these people do. And I talked about this, I think, on the last live, actually. But it can never be talked about enough. Let's put it that way. All this stuff that I talk about, you're going to hear me drill it. You're going to hear me repeat this because it's important. It's important for me to like talk about this quite a bit. What is up, Sweet Goth? I love that name. How is it going? Just going through some of these comment sections and authentically responding to them because it's fun. All right. This guy says this has to be one of your best interviews, 10 out of 10 from start to finish. Really appreciate that, Connor. That's some positive feedback that I really appreciate, man. Let's see here. Matt's awesome. Keep bringing us the tales from the underworld. Let's see here. Been waiting for this. All right. Let's get to some of this. I mentioned the beginning and the end. All right. You were both great in this interview. Loved every second of it. You both could be great motivational speakers. Keep these great interviews coming, man. Thank you. That's really good feedback. And ironically enough, I think I even replied to that gentleman. I did this podcast the day before I went and did a 2-day speaking event. And so that was kind of funny that he said you guys would be great motivational speakers because I went to a 2-day speaking event and I spoke both days and we did a lot of speaking. So yeah, I guess I hope I'm a good motivational speaker. I like to think so. Especially because I talk about stuff that not a lot of people are talking about. Talk about like I'm not here talking about the same shit like financial freedom and passive income. I'm talking about mental freedom. I'm not talking about deceiving people, manipulating and negotiating and overcoming objections. I'm talking about doing sales a completely different way. So yeah, I'd like to say that I motivate people in a very different way, in a very thought-provoking way. What's up, Arthur? Thanks for popping in here. So let's keep going here. Robert Kiyosaki's classes are exactly the same. Upselling the whole time. They even had us call in our credit cards to ask for increases to pay for the next classes. All right, I haven't talked about this enough yet. So what he's talking about is they will literally have you go bankrupt and convince you that you need to borrow money, pull out your 401k, pull out a HELOC on your house, your home, your equity on your home to invest it. They'll convince you and try to brainwash you that this is so important that you need to go into debt to buy it because it's going to change your life and you'll never have to worry about debt again. I used to buy into this, and unfortunately I used to use this slimy sales tactic in my sales pitch too, where like this will be the last investment you'll ever have to make. That's a huge claim. That's a huge claim to make to somebody. And it's just wrong to have somebody give out their last money. I think I seen an interview where Grant and Damon John were talking about how it was like right around Christmas too, and they're like, hey, what would you tell somebody if they had $1,000 left in their account and they haven't even bought Christmas presents? Should they buy this program? And Damon John was like, 100%, yeah, absolutely. Like that is the worst advice ever. And then I read a comment on one of these YouTube. I always read the comments, so I'm getting them mixed up out of all the podcasts I've done about this topic particularly. And a lady commented on there and said she was on a call with Grant, and Grant was talking to some old lady, and he was asking her how much money you have, or she said, how much should I invest? And Grant said, how much you have? And then she literally went over it, and he said, you should invest all of it. And was so lacking compassion, being so douchey. But anyways, that's the type of mentality that they have. Is like, yeah, give me all of it. Give me everything you got. And what's up, Tammy? Thanks for popping in here. So it's very terrible, that whole approach. So let's keep going on this. This guy said, keep crushing it, Matt. Ben, been following you since you got out. You got a gift. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Matt, you're the only financial or motivational speaker I need. You make me whole. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. So let's read one of these comments from Sweet God. We need to be educating bankers on these scammers that course this way and not just, or that coach this way, and not just when a call center scammers, God, it's so small to read that. I'm gonna have to make that bigger. I thought it was big enough, but I guess not. Bear with me. Here we go. All right. When a call center scammers does this, and they do the same thing, in my opinion, yeah, 100%, and I agree with you as well. So, absolutely. Let's see. Matt, you get better inspiring. Matt does a cool. Let's see. Let's hear. Put chapters in your video with the description. All right. Much respect to both of you guys. I discovered Ben on Cults to Consciousness. I had no clue about his weed dealing past. Very fascinating. Reformed criminals are some of the most interesting people. Yeah, it's really cool actually, because there's been a couple people that have asked me. I did another podcast recently where a guy asked me that question, how I got into entrepreneurialism and where it started. And so part of that story, if you guys haven't heard it, involves me talking about how I left my 10-year carpentry job and gotten linked up with a business partner, which is a woman who I considered to be a mentor to me at the time. And I built a sunroom for her and ended up doing side work for her for years after that, for about 8 years, I think. And then we went into business together, and what we did was an illegal black market marijuana growing and distributing operation, which, gosh, that's a whole story in itself. I'm not going to go into it right now, but if you'd like to hear part of that story, check out the podcast with Matt Cox, or just keep following me, because it'll come up again. It's definitely an eye-awakening, interesting thing to look back on now. It's like a whole nother life. That talking about that and putting myself back in that scenario was a 2-year experience. It just seems like a whole nother life, like I was reincarnated from that. So yeah, it is an interesting story, because I went through a lot, but it's important for this mentorship journey, because she was a mentor to me, and that's kind of where I started diving into this misguided mentor term that I had created. And I realized that, like, wow, I've been learning from misguided mentors and became one myself. Pretty crazy. 25 years ago, I was in the car business and I knew all of this. I told my GM I don't need this $450,000 or $450 training to sell cars. I've seen Grant over the years grow and scam millions. Yeah, Sammy says this will be the year Grant goes down. Mark my words. You know what's funny? I have my doubts with that, just because he's obviously got the power of Scientology behind him and all that. But I did have an interesting call, whether you believe in psychics or not. I did have a call with someone who is a psychic, or call her whatever you want. She has abilities to look into the future, if you will, or see things coming, or sense things coming. And one of the things she told me was that this person, I don't know who it is, and she didn't really know what I was doing. Of course, she obviously could have looked and found out really easily. But she did say this person, is going to go down. This organization is going to come to an end at some point. So it's interesting she said that. And I am a firm believer that you can only treat people like shit for so long. You can only scam people and operate your business that way for so long before it actually crumbles. And so what does that mean? Well, we'll find out. I have no idea, but I honestly believe stuff like that can't go on forever. Let's see here. You two guys together are powerful. You're going to be at the forefront with the re-education for humanity, with the new dimension that's taking place. I saw that when I watched your video 2 days ago. It's in your eyes, the heart, the energy shines so bright. Wow, that's a very awesome comment, Vicky. Really appreciate that. Coaches. Okay, so I learned this term. This is funny. Coaches, coaching coaches to coach coaches. Yeah, I brought that up because I heard a good friend, Danielle Ryan, who's a YouTuber as well, and I did a podcast with her, which will be coming out hopefully in the next month or two, because we had a good conversation also. But I heard her say that term, and it just cracked me up. I mean, I was belly laughing, because that's exactly what's going on right now. You got coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches. And it's like, let me coach you to coach another coach. And it's like, do you have a business? Like, what have you done to become a coach? Like that's the real question. And then there's just so much that goes behind that, in my opinion. I've noticed there's also coaches out here coaching stuff that they've never done themselves or don't do, and that's crazy. Nobody's talking about that. Like literally coaching something that they have never done ever, or they don't actively do themselves. It's pretty crazy. And you can easily find that out just by asking some questions if you're looking for mentorship or getting coaching from somebody. You can get some validation. Just do a little more research, do some digging. You'll find out the truth really quick. All right, so man, these two had crazy chemistry with their back and forth. The Ace comes from Ace Boogie. These two guys had crazy chemistry with their back and forth. I could see a lot of Matt's characteristics in Ben as well, and vice versa. So I know Ben is on a warpath, just like Matt, to push a positive narrative and also reveal his weaknesses and show us this world is not what we've been taught growing up. It's actually a world where you need to question everything and not take what you hear and see for what it is. I love you guys, Matt and Ben, and appreciate them so much. I hope I gain hope and knowledge from episodes like this. Love you guys, man. Don't change. Shit, just keep moving forward. Godspeed, boys. Really cool comment. I love long comments like that, and especially positive encouragement like that. It just kind of reinforces that I'm making some impact. You know, people like Matt making some impact, and it's just really cool. And he's right. I'm not on a, you can call it a warpath, but I'm not on a warpath. I'm fulfilling a calling, is what I'm doing, and I'm bringing awareness to the stuff that's not being talked about. A lot of the stuff I talk about, people know already, or they've experienced the red flags. They just ignored it. And all I'm doing is getting you to look at something, getting you to look at the hard truth. It's funny that he said, this world is not what we've been taught growing up. It's actually a world where you need to question everything and not take what you hear and see for what it is. It reminds me of the, you guys ever seen The Truman Show? Just watched it the other night, actually. And because I've only seen it one time, and I didn't remember much of it, I just remembered the concept of the movie. But now watching it again, it is just exactly what he said. And a couple comments that Ed Harris, the actor, made on there was, one of the things he said was something like, well, us as humans, we tend to take what we see in the world as our truth, or something like that. And it's exactly what this guy Ace Boogie was talking about, is nobody questions enough. Nobody, and it really what it is no one actually sees the truth. If you actually let go enough, the truth will be presented in front of you way more vividly. The truth is being presented to you. People just take temptations and deception, which blinds them to the truth. And the more you do that, the more tunnel vision you get, and it's a lot harder to see the truth. You start deceiving yourself. Once you've been deceived, you deceive yourself, and you start talking yourself into reasons why things are the way they are, why you feel the way you do. There's so much more. There's so much more to it, and yeah. So you know who I'm talking about. Sweet Goth. Danielle's hilarious, man. She's just got such a great personality. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate that positive encouragement too, and definitely we need more of it. We need more people talking, being their self, talking about things that are very obvious. Charcoal Ninja, thank you so much, and yes, I appreciate that positivity and that encouragement. I am just going to keep ramping up the volume and hopefully getting this message out there. What's up, Danny Z? Still been trying to connect with you, brother. Haven't heard back from you, man. I really would love to chat with you. Tammy, you were saying, I know that I saw the truth, but wanted to believe the lie. That got me in trouble. Exactly, and there's things that people do to plant seeds in your head to brainwash you from noticing the truth, actually. That's part of it. I was just talking to Kira today about this, where we're talking about good sayings that are used for bad. And, God, what was one of the sayings I was talking about? One of the sayings, right? Like, hey, you need to get uncomfortable. You need to, or the reason why you're you're not have like, so when someone hears that, right, like, hey, in order to get comfortable you got to get uncomfortable. So when we're talking about that concept and that saying, that's a great saying in itself, right? That's a positive message, but it can be used for bad, and I've seen it. For instance, if you're doing something, like for instance, like Grant has another saying that he used to get in my head with, which was commit first, figure the rest out later, and that got me, God, that got me to throw so much money at him just because I took it literally. And I just was like, yeah, I'm not gonna overthink it. Here's 10,000. Here's 25. Here's 40. Here's five. Here's five. Here's five. I didn't think about it because I bought into that stupid mentality, and it added up really quick. But let's use that as an example, right? So now I've committed first, figured out the rest later, and now I'm like, yeah, why does this feel bad? Why does this feel uncomfortable? And so now they'll start saying, well, the reason it's uncomfortable is because, or the reason why it's comfortable is because you're not leaning into it, or it's because you're not used to it, and you're starting to talk yourself into why this feeling that you know is not right is happening. And you're like telling yourself and trying to get in alignment and agreement with the person that's brainwashing you, saying, oh yeah, it's because I'm not used to this, it's because I know it's the right thing, that's why it feels bad. The reason it feels bad is because it is bad, and that's a red flag. And that's what I'm talking about, and that's what Tammy was talking about as far as people ignoring the truth, ignoring red flags. The truth is right in front of us. Those feelings, your intuition, your conscience to do the right thing, it's right in front of you. We all have this ability. We just ignore it because we're getting blinded with temptations and deception, and it just keeps happening. So, what is going on, Judge? I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing a lot of your guys' name. I can never tell if that's someone's name, like Ace Boogie. You know, obviously that's not his name, but you know, I gotta call him out with something. And yeah, so exactly, it's culty behavior. Um, they like to change the meaning of things to fit their scam. Exactly, they want you to ignore your gut instincts. 100%. And so you got to be careful with that when your intuition, your conscience is operating on a higher level. These sayings, these good sayings, when they get used for evil, you're gonna know it. And so again, it's a fine line because there's a lot of good that ropes you in to these atmospheres, that ropes you into these networking atmospheres that really have an agenda to manipulate you and brainwash you into investing in them and buying into these false promises and buying into this dream that's being sold to you. So yeah, love that comment from Ace Boogie. Another great video Matt has as interesting story to tell is his guess with his guess that Susan's story was epic. Okay, gosh, I wish, must have been a typo there. I've never heard of you guys before, but I listened to the whole thing. Really interesting conversation. Really appreciate that. This guy said, been waiting on this. I always knew Cardone was a fraud, but when I saw his episode with Jordan Belfort, it proved everything. Yeah, if you guys have not seen that podcast episode, I pronounced it right. Okay, good, Judge. Thank you. That's really cool. It's a unique name, so I'm glad that I did nail it. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen the podcast episode that this individual is talking about with Jordan Belfort, Grant is posturing so hard in that he really tries to overcompensate by just posturing, and his insecurities really, really show. And it was so crazy. I'm not a huge Jordan Belfort fan, but I did like the questions he was asking and the approach he was coming at Grant with. Grant really overcompensated extra hard, and he was just trying to challenge Jordan in such immature ways. He like called him out to a cage match and all this stuff. And so I seen that episode, and that's when I decided to call Grant out for a boxing match, and it became more of a comical thing after that. I knew he was never going to step up. It was just for me to prove to people that he has false confidence, because he's sitting there acting like he's ready to go, but Jordan didn't want to go. And so I was just trying to prove to people, like, Grant's not ready to go. He's just saying this. So yeah, a very hard to watch podcast, just because Grant, you could tell he's hurting inside, very unsure of himself, lacking confidence. It's all bullshit. He's putting on big time. And then yeah, Sweet Goth, you were saying it's all part of the bite model. It literally stands for behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Interesting. Never heard of that. Behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Okay, the bite model. Interesting. Yeah, I believe it. I can see how it's structured in that acronym. Let's see here. Absolutely nailed the explanation on leveraging video content for brand growth. Let's see here. Patty Hearst. Okay, thanks for the interview and your channel because I don't listen to many podcasts, but you and your ability to draw me into a conversation is amazing. Patty Hearst is her name, and it was in the 1970s. Just remember myself. All right, this is funny because there must have been 36 people that said the name Patty Hearst after Matt talked about this. Basically, when I brought up Stockholm Syndrome, he brought up a couple examples of people who, how the term Stockholm Syndrome even was created and what incident created the term. And then he talked about Patty Hearst and how that also happened as well. If I remember right, it was the first time I heard that story, which was really cool because I love history. He was basically saying that Patty Hearst was kidnapped and kept in a closet by some bank robbers, and for an extended period of time, and these bank robbers were taking care of her, giving her food, caring for her, nurturing her, and by the end of it, she was robbing banks with them and defending them, and pretty much adopted their mindset and thought process. So that's Stockholm Syndrome. This is what I talked about earlier in this podcast, and it's a very real thing that's happening. Yeah, so Josh was saying she never heard of the bite model. Nice to know. Yeah, this is the first time I heard of it too. So it's exactly what's going on. They call you a suppressive person because Grant is a Scientologist, and that is the term they use. Yes, now I know that. Let's see. The greatest thing technology has shown us is that no matter how educated the population becomes, we can still see that there are idiots that fall for the same schemes over and over and over again, regardless of the decade or where they come from. Quite fascinating. So again, there's a lot of these type of comments on here, and so I'm only going to address these so often because there really is an overabundance of people talking like this. Basically, what he's saying is like, how did I fall for it? How do people fall for these schemes? They're idiots. That would never happen to me, so on and so forth. What I'm going to say that I've said over and over and over and over and over is that it can happen to anybody. It can happen to intelligent people. It can happen to successful people. I've seen it happen. I've been in the room with a lot of successful people and smart people, and they were just as brainwashed. They were just as manipulated. They were spending the same amount of money, and it was all bullshit. They were all drinking the same Kool-Aid. It can happen to anybody. Matter of fact, Dana White comes to my mind. Dana White has taken the 10x Kool-Aid, as I like to say, with Gary Brecka's 10x Health Systems. Gary Brecka claims that he can draw some blood from you, and he can pinpoint the exact day you're going to die. The exact day you're going to die. That's a big claim. And this type of stuff that ropes people in, right? And again, Dana White seems like a very smart guy. Seems like he's pretty intelligent. Seems like he's very confident, right? How did something like that happen to a guy like Dana White, right? It happens to the best of them, guys. So people that make comments like this, like, don't think that you're naive to being brainwashed. Matter of fact, if you think it can't happen to you, there's a good chance it's happening to you right now. I'll say that. But furthermore, have a little compassion. Like, there's people probably that you know this has happened to. And so if you're maybe you know yourself so well that this can't happen to you. I don't know, but don't get full of yourself. Don't get big-headed. Don't think you're naive that this can't happen to you. There's a good chance rather that this is happening to you right now when I hear people talk like that. Yeah, so it's something we encourage everyone to have access to. Oh, and the bite model, yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, exactly, Tammy, everyone falls for something at some point, 100%, absolutely. And it's okay just being, authentic and completely transparent about this is like, okay, I fell for that shit before. Everybody's been scammed at one point. I can almost guarantee somebody has been deceived or scammed at one point in your life. There's no way you cannot live this lifetime and not have that happen to you once. All right. How are people so unaware of Cardone's reputation as a scammer, especially the ones actually involved in his courses? Again, man, happens to the best of them. You get brainwashed, you start drinking that Kool-Aid, and you start talking yourself into reasons why you're overthinking. You start justifying, maybe it's me, maybe there's something wrong with me. There's a lot of reasons. It's so nice to finally meet Matt's son. This is funny. Apparently, everybody kept saying that me and Matt look alike, and they kept making the joke that I was Matt's son. This guy said, I fucking knew Cardone was full of shit. I saw him on that undercover billionaire show, and of course he quit. Ever since then, I had a feeling he was full of it. Glad to hear this. Yep. I was in the car sales for 12 years, and we used to have to watch Grant Cardone training videos for car sales, and he actually came out and did a live sales training with me and my sales team. I was a sales manager at the time, and I mean, he had some decent training, but it was not that great at all, and we ended up not paying him due to him showing up late, and he did not do a very decent job. He tried suing the owner of the dealership I worked for, but he lost. That's funny. So this also reminds me of something. I haven't talked about this enough, but makes me feel bad because I had a bunch of Cardone accounts, Cardone University accounts to train on, and I used to have some of my employees train on it. And I feel bad. I tried to get them drinking the Kool-Aid too. And furthermore, aside from me even just having my employees train on Cardone's nonsense, I also would just heavily promote him. I'm almost certain that I got people hooked on him or introduced them to him. And gosh, I just really hope that they didn't spend any money or go down a rabbit hole. No one's really came out back to me and shared a story with me or let me know that, but I do feel bad that I did that. But that's part of it. That's part of how these cults work. Is they'll brainwash you in hopes of you spreading the word, you recruiting. And in that sense, it really is an MLM model. That's MLM with people even knowing it. Isn't that crazy? And in my example, turning people into Scientologists without them knowing about it, and then having them recruit without them knowing about it. God, that's remarkable. How's it going, Jackie? That's remarkable, and that's scary. That's just flat out scary. But it's happening. Let's see. When is Cardone going to be on American Greed? Yeah. This guy proceeds to pitch a course. All right, so a lot of people make this comment on here just because I brought up my book that I wrote, or the fact that I'm training people on how to do business the right way, how to sell the right way, and I'm changing the industry. They're like making this stupid comment. They're like, oh yeah, you're telling me you learned the wrong way and now you created your own course. I had already started my course within like the first few months of becoming a licensee, so it's not like I went through this and then decided to start my own course. I've been working on my training system for over 2 years. So there's been a lot of development in that. And then obviously I had to restructure the whole thing because I was taught the wrong things, and a lot of the training in there's not in alignment with me anymore. But yes, I have a course. Yes, I have my own training system. The difference is I'm not training how to deceive, manipulate, bully, interrogate, harass, and all that shit. That is not what I'm doing. I'm teaching people how to care about their customers. I'm doing what needs to be taught. I'm doing things the right way. I'm not saying you need what I have. I'm not saying you should. And I'm teaching other people to frame their stuff that way too. Because that's the way you should sell stuff. I'm not saying sales is bad. Businesses have to sell. But the way you do it is either unethical or ethical. So I'm teaching people how to be ethical. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can find out for yourself. A lot of people that make these stupid comments like that, oh, he's pitching his own course. Oh, he became a coach himself now. Dude, yes, I've been a coach for quite a bit. So the only difference is now I'm ethical, I'm authentic, and I have a good heart, and I care about people. And this is what I'm trying to teach other people to do as well. So that's the difference. How's it going, Lori? Cardone makes those statements about the future too. He said that, he said that with his level of wealth, he can impact the outcome of the presidential election. He angles to grab people across many topics. Yeah, I've heard him say that quite a bit, Brickell. He's got big big dreams, aspirations, but man, the way he talks about doing it is just it's unethical. Let's put it that way. I don't have an explanation why, but this was a great conversation to listen to. Well done, Mr. Cox and the guest. I like this guy, but I rolled my eyes when he said he coaches people in business. Really, bro? You got scammed by Grant Cardone and came out the other end of business coach? So again, you're gonna hear comments just like this. It's ridiculous. Like again, without knowing how I coach or what I'm talking about or anything about me, these type of comments mean nothing to me. All right, so Sweetgoth, let's see. You were saying if they need any part of it explained, I've broken down a bit more. Then I'm always around and happy to be of help. She's talking about the BITE concept or the BITE analogy or acronym. And you're more upfront and don't pitch a course 6 hours into an 8 hour webinar. Yeah, exactly. I'm really glad you pointed that out either. And I really just don't pressure anybody. Like, there's no pressure at all. Like, I'm just here to give you a good experience, give you the information you need, answer your questions, and leave you alone. Like, I'll ask you if you want me to follow up with you. Like, I'll never say, like, hey, is it okay if I follow up? I'll be like, should I follow up with you? Would you want me to follow up with you? Do you need me to, let you think for a week or 2 weeks, or just want me to leave you alone? Like, I'm super transparent when it comes to selling, and you're really not gonna find an individual approach sales and business the way I do. I'm very, very certain of that, which is what I'm trying to change. This is gonna take a while. It's gonna take frequency and consistency. All right, I'm just gonna go through a couple more, and then I'm gonna hop off here because I can smell dinner cooking. I'm supposed to get in there and help, and I just wanted to hop on here and see how this went. I could already see I'm still kind of chipping away at this, and trying to smooth out rough edges on how I want to do these podcasts, what I want to do, and I'm still learning the software. So this is good for me too, and get the mic right and the lighting and all this stuff. So this is good for me to do, and I appreciate everybody hopping on here. But let's see here. Awesome interview. I've watched Grant Cardone's videos, but I was never going to give him any money. I knew it had to be a scam because if it was real, he would not be sharing in the way he does. Yeah, there's some truth to that, 100%. Alex says you can look at the Cardone guy and tell he's a con man. Anyone who pops up out of nowhere and talks about how everyone else is doing something wrong is usually a con. 100%. Like, anybody who frames anything that like, hey, you're wrong, I'm right. Even me, I'm not even saying, sometimes I'll say like the way he's doing it or the way these self-sorting entrepreneurs are approaching business is wrong. But what I really want to say is it's unethical. Is it wrong? Yeah, sure. But that's not what she's talking about, or he, I don't know if that's a woman, Alex. It looks like it is. That's not what she's talking about. What she's talking about is like, hey, your way's wrong. I got the right way. Come to me. I'll show you. I'll take you to the promised land. That's what's being pitched. A dream. So yeah. And yeah, what you were saying, Sweet Goth, it really shouldn't take 7 different coaches, each with their own rags to riches story to sell a $300 course. The rags to riches story. Yeah, that good old. All right, so this said, thanks for sharing this experience. We'll look into the Rebecca Hamilton's experience as well. Yeah, she pretty much, if you haven't watched that, she talks about her experience with the 10x 360 program, which is a $40,000 program that I also took, among many, and literally everything she talked about I experienced as well. The interaction with the individuals that she talked about on there, Brandon Dawson, Josh Dawson, just everything about it. It completely elaborated on the exact same experience I had and more. So yeah. Let's see. This guy said, "What if this guy went into this with this as a plan all along?" I'm guessing Killy Joe meant like, what if I went into this 3-year nightmare in hopes of talking about this and I guess leveraging. That's a whole nother thing I'll talk about later. And exactly, Tammy. That gets my spidey senses tingling. You said. Happy Sunday, Annie. Thanks for popping in here. Yeah, so I forgot where I was going with that. This guy was basically saying, what if this was his plan all along? It doesn't matter because I wasn't meant to talk about it right now. I could already tell what I was getting ready to bring up was something I've been meaning to talk about for a while. But let's see here. Love the podcast. Just some constructive feedback. Would be good to have a quick intro. Okay, yeah, he's just giving Grant or Matt some pointers. Never trust a Scientologist. This dude needs to stop crying. All right, this is the last thing I'll point out, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. So the people that keep saying like this guy sounds like he's crying, sounds like he's complaining, sounds like he hasn't moved on. Look, guys, there is a misconception that just because I'm talking and sharing my story, that I'm haven't moved on, that I'm crying, that I'm hurt. Like, do I? I mean, am I like in a fetal position, having a cold shower? Like, get real. I've moved on so long ago. It's just me sharing my story because now the purpose is bigger than me. There's a calling for me to share the story because I talk about good mentorship. It's relative to the bad mentorship I had. Not only that, I'm being validated by people reaching out to me and telling me like, "Hey man, I appreciate you sharing that. Grant's ripped off this person, that person of mine." I've had people reach out to me and say, "Dude, I'm so glad. It seemed like one of your videos, got put in front of me at the exact right time I needed to see it. Grant's team has been pressing me and hounding me for so long, trying to get me to buy this course. I was on the fence. I seen red flags. I didn't know what to do. And as soon as I seen your video, it solidified to me that that was the wrong thing to do, and I appreciate that." So it's messages like that. I get a lot of those every single day. So it's messages like that that solidify to me that I'm doing the right thing. I am making an impact. I am bringing awareness, just like what my plan was all along. I'm here to bring awareness. I'm not here to convince people even. Like, I don't need to convince. Like, convincing to me just lacks confidence, much like I point out in other people trying to convince and selling, right? Like, you don't need to convince anything if you're completely confident. I'm just here to give the information. I'm just here to share my story. It's up for you. This is the way I sell too. It's up for you to discern whether or not what I said resonates with you, whether or not something I said clicked with you. That's on you. Like, I'm not here to shove you a different way. Like, it's going to happen for you when it's supposed to happen. And I'm not here to stop that process. I'm just here to hopefully be a part of that. And it's not for me to decide. It's up for you to decide. So anyways, those comments like that. And to his defense, he actually, he did, I'm going to bring this up because he did come back. I replied to him and I was joking. I said, "I'm literally in a fetal position crying on the ground in the shower." And then he said, "Hey, hello, my brother. I'm surprised you replied. Thank you." And then he kept going. So he actually came correct. He said, "I recently watched another video where you shared your experiences. It's clear he had a profound impact on you, leaving you feeling wronged and taken advantage of. However, I can't help but to wonder if repeatedly revisiting these events on tour might be giving more power to these past circumstances than they deserve. Have you considered the possibility of releasing this burden? It may be liberating for you. Overall, my apologies for the crying comment. I wish you the best." So I actually appreciate that response. He started out aggressive and he was poking fun and stuff like that. But then he started to get a little bit of my true authentic self in my response. And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." And so I replied to him, "Yeah, man, I'm not like these modern day self-serving entrepreneurs who only does things for money. I always make time to engage, donate time, and build relationships. What you have to understand is that me sharing my story does not mean I haven't let go. I promise you that I've had a direct experience with our creator who very clearly told me to let go. I did, and ever since then, my life has been easy and fruitful. The reason I share this experience, amongst many other things I'm doing, is because I have a calling to help others, much like I just explained. I get daily messages from people letting me know that one of my interviews was placed in front of them at the right moment, which allowed them to make the decision to not do business with Grant when they were on the fence. If you'd like to get to know me if you'd like to get to know me on a call, you'll find out that I am mentally free and 100% know myself." So yeah, as you can see, I took the time to respond to him. But because he gave me an authentic response as well after, originally just saying, this guy's crying. So, but yeah, I have to point out to people that I've let go. My God, have I let go. And I had such these remarkable experiences that it's hard for me to explain unless you've been through it. But I can tell you it was life-changing spiritual moments that woke me up that allowed me to leave this. And, I don't talk too much about that because I haven't really done a spiritual interview or a spiritual geared podcast, which I probably won't. Maybe I will. It's definitely a huge part of my life. It changed my life, and it helped me know who I am, and it helped me let go of everything. And like I said, it's actually truly remarkable that I'm able to operate my life this easily and deflect negativity, deception, temptations. I can clearly see it coming at me, and I can clearly see why everybody else is taking it. So I feel like Neo in the Matrix. I've said this before. I'm so enlightened, and in doing that, I am able to help people and stay on this higher frequency. So does that make me like better than anybody? Not at all. Like, I'm here to help people, and so I'm not saying anything. You could take that for what it is. I'm just sharing my experience. Again, I had some moments in my life that most people may have not had, and it just completely blew my mind and woke me up. Let's put it that way. I'm awakened, and so that's what I'm here to do, is awaken other people in whatever way I can. So anyways, I really hope everybody got a kick out of me going through some of these comments. I'm going to continue this again. I think this is super fun to just kind of go through this because, like I said, responding to these comments, it kind of just provokes thoughts authentically. And as you know, I like talking. I like pouring from me, through me. I don't hold back. And I think it's just those are the type of conversations and podcasts I enjoy listening to, is people just talking and being their self. And I can tell when someone's, created a character, if they're literally just being their authentic self. And I really love that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys next time. And again, give me feedback. I'll take all the constructive criticism. If anybody wants to, particularly on the YouTube and Facebook lives, let me know if there's something that could be done better. Obviously, I had a little bit of fumbling around because I realized you couldn't put the chat overlaid over the shared screen, which is kind of weird. And not only that, I don't think you guys could even see me, huh? So that tells me you guys... Oh, that's right. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, so the entire time, you guys have only seen my shared screen, I believe. Interesting. So I'm guessing... where'd it go? Window capture. Bam. Now you guys can see me, I bet. Okay, so now I gotta... Oh, wow, this is so cool. So, yeah, I got to figure this out. This whole screen sharing thing is really the curveball I'm trying to figure out, so I appreciate you guys' patience with me. But this whole time I could see a screen of me talking and the shared screen, so it looked like you guys could see both of them. Apparently, I don't think that was the case. I'm not going to know until I watch the playback on there. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Annie. You're definitely going to see my face on here because I'm live streaming from Instagram, but for YouTube and Facebook, I'm using a platform, a streaming software, and I think that you guys were not able to see my face the entire time, which is kind of a bummer. I wish there was a way to see both my screens, me and the comments section. So I'm going to work this out. I haven't figured out a way to test it, so unfortunately the test is me just launching a podcast and smoothing out the rough edges on the go. How exciting is that? So anyways, thanks again, everybody on here. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate every single one of you, and I appreciate all the reciprocation, the positive encouragement, and everything that I'm doing out here. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to keep it coming, and I will see you guys next time. I don't have a schedule yet, so I'm just popping in here when the time's right. And as soon as I get all these smooth edges, these rough edges smoothed out, like I mentioned a second ago, is when I'm going to dial in a regular content schedule. So I'm excited for that. But first, I got to figure out all these details with the technicality difficulties in the gear setup. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your Sunday. And kick the week's ass. See you, Tammy. Thank